Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode here at Galactic Mystic. I'm your host, Candace, and today we're going to be diving into planetary magic. So, in today's episode, we're going to be diving into what exactly is planetary magic. Where does it come from? The days of the week that it resonates, the different type of herbs that are associated to each day, the word associations that are associated to that particular planet, and also any type of spells that you may want to start today if you like. So make sure you have some type of notebook, paper, so you can take some notes, because this is for my astrology bitches. This is for everyone that is really tapping into that astrology aspect of understanding the planetary, but then also blending in that magical, mystic, occult kind of feel to it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before we dive in, though, I do just kind of want to give you a little bit of a background on how I started on my planetary magic, or understanding more about astrology and magic in itself. Now, I particularly started my journey of loving astrology probably about 6 years ago. I've always been an avid lover of the occult, or just learning more about the planets and really kind of being like, what is going on there? I've always said to myself, we cannot be the only ones here in this planet of Earth. There's a vast of space that is infinite, that us humans can only comprehend, because this is what we can only see from our naked eye. So if there's so much vast space up there, what is actually inside all the planets? How do the planets actually affect us tiny humans down here on Earth? And how does that actually relate to anything and everything that we do here on this Earth? So I've always been an avid lover of astrology, and I think that's why when I first started diving into learning more about magic, or learning more about the different aspects on how you can tap into magic, and creating my own grimoire, I honestly decided to make my grimoire in different sections instead of it being just one thing I'm learning. I definitely know that I can call myself an eclectic witch, to where it's everything that I love, or everything that I want to tap into. So in my grimoire, the first actual subjects or things that I dive into was elemental magic, which I can't wait for us to dive into that, which is probably one of my favorite things, is doing elemental magic. But on top of elemental magic, it was astrology, tarot, and planetary magic. And so now that I've been in my own path as far as an eclectic witch, diving into planets, the magic, how everything really is aligned with everything, and understanding that the universe has really allowed us to see how everything is unified, and very much so in the aspect of connection. And if you see it, it's going to help you really understand different aspects of everything. As I mentioned in my last episode of, seeing the universal signs, the universe is in everything, and you are the universe. God is in you. You are God. So once you have that concept wrapped around your mind that everything is within us and we are part of everything, everything just automatically starts to click with everything that you're learning. And this also includes the planets that are above us. Now, becoming a student of astrology really does expand your awareness of how the planets are influenced in the dynamics here on Earth. One of my favorite astrologers and tarot readers, her name is Jessica, and she runs the Bahati Life Apothecary on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And one of the things that she says all the time is that so above is also reflecting us down below. If you allow yourself to go with the flow of how the planets are, you will allow yourself to go with ease on how things are happening. So the transits that you're feeling can be hard on yourself if you allow it to be hard on yourself. But if you allow yourself to really see how it can help you expand, how it can help you see how it helps you understand a lot of things, especially when a certain planet is going in retrograde, you can actually level up your reality, your life in a different way than you being in this chaotic feeling that nothing is working out in your favor, that all this crazy shit is constantly happening towards you and nothing's really happening for your benefit. If you're changing that perspective of seeing how the planets do affect you, it will help you in the long term. So, thank you, Jessica. As a spiritual person and astrologer, I do appreciate you giving me that knowledge for the last like 4 or 5 years of just constantly reminding me that if I look at it from a different perspective and allow the energies from these planets to help navigate, it will help me realize that life down here is not so hard. So it just really is a perfect segue about what I just said. Like, if you are noticing how the planets do influence you on the day-to-day basis here on Earth, you will start to observe how they can benefit your life in a very beautiful way instead of it being like a toxic way. And when you start to observe how these planets in the long term can affect you, you start to really see the patterns. You start to really see the architectural energy that each planet themselves really do express through their own energy. And not only that, through the planets do express their own energy, but they also express them through our own natal chart. So when you get a natal chart, you see how each planet in themselves, how they were the day you were born and how they're affecting you. And then also when you look at progressive charts, which I feel like I'm going out of tangent here, but I just, as you can tell, I really do fuck with astrology, man. I really do vibe with the fact on how you can really see how where your life could be really headed for you in a different way. So when you look at progressive charts are basically taking from when you were born, the natal chart, you're taking that point of the astrological planets, and then you're bringing that to today's date. You can see how much your own energy has shifted from different planets and how they are actually in this current reality right now affecting you to this day. So I really love looking at progressive charts because yes, natal charts are a great way for you to know how you are when you were born, but the progressive charts do show you how you have progressed during that time, where your current energy is relying in each of these planets and how you can utilize that to your advantage. So getting back to what I was saying, like if you're noticing the patterns of your architectural energy of the planets and how they express themselves, it really allows yourself to see how each planet affects your mind, the way that you feel, your healing aspects, what you need to let go, what you need to embrace more of, maybe the things that you are probably and currently hiding or voiding in your life. There's so many different things that these planets can help you realize. And if you allow yourself to really dive into that, your life can really change for the better in a different way. Instead of it being one way, it really is seeing it from a different perspective. So now that we talked about how becoming a student of astrology can expand your awareness, now let's actually dive into what planetary magic actually is. So, like astrology, the origins of planetary magic is actually very ancient. And these beliefs are based in Hermetic philosophy, which comes from the teaching of Hermes and the Western astrologic and occult traditions. Honestly, if I'm going to be really truly honest, to me, these teachings and understanding about planetary knowledge really does come from the Egyptian deity Thoth or Thoth, depending on how you want to pronounce it for yourself. I personally do fuck up a lot of words, so I'm pretty sure I am fucking up his name. So give me the apologies here immediately. So don't judge, but I do just say things how they look. I've always been like that. So don't judge me on that aspect. However, when I'm doing my own knowledge and my own research, I do see that Hermes is in this, but it also is going way back to Thoth. And in my opinion, a lot of the Greek mythology took away from the Egyptian culture, the Egyptian knowledge, and they kind of like switched it up for their own ways of being. And that could be said for a lot of things in Greek culture. I mean, that's a whole topic in itself, but I feel like I'm getting off tangent here. So let's get back onto the topic here. So the Egyptian deity Thoth, right? Who is credited for bestowing the idealistic understanding of magic, writing, technology, language, and astrology to the human species or to the Egyptians. And according to the Egyptian mythology, Thoth was born at the beginning of time. The philosophy of planetary magic really does ask us to develop a close personal relationship with the planets as if they were alive around us and within us today, which kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about becoming a student of astrology. Now, when you are looking at this aspect of really seeing how the relationships or the personal relationships that the planets do have within us, it does give you this expansion of knowledge about how each planet does have a particular aspect in us in this daily life. Now, there is this book called The Inner Witch and the Planetary Magic, which is rooted in belief inside the planets, right? This is through the author of Gabriella Heteristic, and I feel like I'm butchering her last name, but her last name is spelled Herstik, and she is the author of The Inner Witch. And so she specifically is saying that because of the different types of these planets that we have, even though we have more than just seven, the seven classical planets of the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Saturn are all living intelligence that we can all connect to and embody through each spells, through ourselves, as well as different type of ritual work. When you are looking at planetary magic, it is the practice of working alongside the planetary energies and their frequencies through ritual, myths, invocations, talismans, correspondence, hymns, connections, as well as invocations. These are all things that you can work along with the planetary and the energies that they do possess. And this is what Gabriella was saying in her book, The Inner Witch. When you can really develop a cautious mindset in regards to the planets and having that direct knowledge about what they are, what they possess, how they can bring forth certain different aspects of our life, we can really start to begin or start to co-create our own reality with the help of their influence. And I truly believe that in my own self because this is how I've been able to develop a inner knowing of myself about what I want, of learning how I speak, how I love, how I want other people to treat me, the type of energy I possess, the kind of go-gettingness that I have. It really has helped me understand me at its core and helped me honestly bridge out more knowledge than I ever thought before when it came to that aspect as well. And honestly, when you think about having the planetary knowledge within yourself, this is really you developing a more personal relationship with them to gain more favor, not only for yourself, but then also like for your external reality. If you are becoming a astrology witch or just learning more about astrology in a sense, if you're trying to learn it from a different perspective, like I said in the beginning of this episode, it not only helps you internally know yourself, but it also can help you externally as well. Whether that's you developing more like communicative skills, if you're learning more about your chart and you're noticing that the way that you communicate is not the best and you want to change that up, you can utilize this energy with the planet of Mercury and doing different kind of incantations or different types of connections, correspondence, creating your own sigils in relation to Mercury to help develop your form of communication to be more better than what it currently is. So when you think about the planets, not only is it Yes, it's a physical rock and they may have gas and all this other stuff that's associated to them on the scientific level, but on a more vibrational, multidimensional, a spiritual state of mind or um, a spiritual state of consciousness, you can start to work and achieve a desired outcome on that alone. If you're really wanting to dive into this type of work, the best thing that I can sit there and say is if you want to work with each of the different planets, if you really want to tune to their energies on a cautious matter, I would highly suggest that you start working with the corresponding days and the times that will allow you to start to understand and really develop the energies that each planet does have for themselves. Now, I do just want to briefly put like a little blurb here and just say that humans are the ones that created time. Humans are the ones that created, days of the week. This is not something that the universe has played upon us. This is something that we ourselves have really created, especially the universal energy of time. And I do also just want to say that over 5,000 years ago, the ancient Babylons did establish a 7-day week heteric, if you will, and each day is dedicated to one of the 7 classical planets. Each week starts with Sunday, which would be corresponding to the sun. We then follow through with Monday, which would be corresponding to the moon. Tuesday is for the planetary of Mars. Wednesday is for Mercury. Jupiter is for Thursday. Friday is for Venus. And Saturday is for Saturn. This system has been adopted by all cultures around the world, and this is including all the astrologers who have been influenced by the planetary based organization of the time. Now, the planetary hours that are associated to each day has another aspect of the ancient system, which placed a specific rulership over a certain hour of the day under each of the planets. So now that we know how each planet rules each day of the week, let's now dive into the actual planetary hours for each of the planets. So I really want to dive into the slowest planets to the fast moving planets, and this will give you more of a broader aspect of the particular movement of the planets themselves when it comes to the hourly base. So the slowest planet that we have is Saturn, then it goes to Jupiter, Mars, and then the Sun. And then the fast moving planets that we have are Venus, Mercury, and then the Moon. This is known as the Cauldron order. And Cauldron is spelled Chadean. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that word too, so again, don't come at me, but also come at me because I'm just saying it how it looks. So each day begins with the planetary hour according to the planetary ruler of the day. And so when you're thinking about this, you're going to be using the mythology of the planetary hours and the days of the week, which gives us much more of a direct access to the planet at those times. During that time or during these times, we're actually more closer to the communion with them when we are admiring or adhering to the actual planetary system. Now, for each time or hour for each planet, I would highly suggest that you Google it or you can use an app because I could say for all of them, and we would be here for a very long time because that's 7 different planets on 7 different aspects and 7 different time frames. That's just a lot to talk about in this one particular episode, so I'm not going to be diving into each of those. So if you do, or if you are going to be expanding yourself into knowing more of the specific time for each day, then I will highly use your phone right now as you're hearing this episode and then typing that out to see what they are and how you can start to utilize that in your day-to-day aspect. Okay, so now we're in the portion of our episode where we're going to talk about each planet as well as the day that it represents, the correspondence, the different types of magic or witchy things that are associated to them that you can start utilizing to amplify it. And I'm also just going to give you like a brief info about each planet as well, because we are talking about astrology. And I do just want to give you guys as much information as I can, but also at the same time, not have this be a very long winded, intense episode. Again, there's so much more information that you can find. So please do your own due diligence on your own research. Please make sure that you're getting your own books. Make sure that you're highlighting or gravitating towards the knowledge that you are really like, yes, I should learn more about that. Like, if whatever you're intuitively are feeling, I am applauding you or encouraging you to study more and research more. This is me doing my own work for the last like 4 to 5 years, and putting in my own knowledge into it, my own grimoires about these things. And so take what resonates, don't try to force it, allow yourself to hear more information about it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the first day of the week, which is Sunday. So, Sunday is the day for healing and vitality, as well as creativity and bringing in new hope. It's also the day for confidence and success. And with this day being ruled by the sun, it also corresponds to fire as well as the sun sign of Leo. The colors that are associated to this are gold, orange, and yellow. And the sacred stones that are associated to this, or the sacred crystals, are amber, citrine, carnelian, and topaz. Now, if you are an herbal witch, here are some of the herbs or incense that you can start utilizing today that will help amplify the energy of the sun or on Sunday, and that is cloves, cedar, chamomile, frankincense, amber, sunflower, and hylotrope. Now, also just want to sit there and say, with all of the associations that I just provided for you, these can be utilized in different types of spells and different types of aspects. It could be crystals, it could be, herbs, it could be oils, it could be, anything and everything. And all these they can be utilized for condensation spells. And speaking of spells, here are some of the ways that you can utilize that, or different types of spells that you can do. Solar power is one, and solar power is very masculine. So it is very doing, it's very moving forward, it's very much just doing, right? Being the sun energy. And so if you want to amplify like a spell, utilize the sun's power to amplify it. It is a great way it's a great way for you to place your spell or whatever outside and let the sun kind of amplify it. Meditate outside with the sun to create more of that duality of more power, more intensity, more development for this spell to kind of push through. It's all about your intentions. It's all about how you are placing yourself within that. So if you can think about that within the solar power aspect, you can absolutely use Sunday as a day to amplify your spells. Another spell that you can use on Sunday to amplify is personal development, success, wealth, material wealth, as well as new beginnings. The sun also represents how we create. It's about radiating. So the sun is our great creator, right? It is how we create. It is how we really do utilize our self-expression. And the sun radiates light, life, and hope. It is rising in our dawn, and it brings out glorious noontime and power, and it only fades to the offset to bring us the dusk. Even through cloudy days, the sun does still radiate through it. So it really does help rule our routines, our marks of creative power from birth to death. It is a thing that really does push us forward in that aspect as well. The sun is also linked to the Egyptian culture again, and Ra, being the sun, was the supreme deity of the ancient Egyptians and took several forms of the sun's various aspects. On top of it being very heavy in Egyptian culture, the characteristics of the sun does present itself with its core, and at its core, it really is a self-expression. This self-expression is why the sun sign in our natal chart is about that. It rules the first house. It rules how we consider ourselves and how we want to develop ourselves, how we seek out for projections, how we look out to our family, our friends, society for influence. And it also helps us represent the experience that makes us believe in ourselves in that aspect. It also helps us determine who we are, how we create, not only artistically, but also in the terms of how we like to have fun, how we like to experiment our different types of pleasures, and how we bring that same pleasures over to other people. It does help us with our self confidence as well. So the sun may lead us to an egocentric kind of aspect of it, but it also helps us understand our interests, our experiences with other people, and the different types of reasons on why we may be rigid or may want to do type of quote unquote harm to other people as well. This also helps us understand our failures as well. Like it really does helps us understand that aspect within ourselves. So the sun is basically our spirit. It is our personality. It represents who we are essentially. The sun rules over the conditions of our body, and it is the return of the light. It is the ability for us to transform and also rise again. So it helps with our health, it helps with our vitality, it helps with our dynamicism, if I really want to be more specific. The sun is our strength and what we put our focus on. It also is our universal spark, and that is why it's called the spirit, is that lives within us. It's what lives within our own body. And so what we have or what we can utilize this sun energy for is so much. It's not just a basic thing. It's not something that really does help us understand ourselves, but it is also our strength. It is also our desires. It is also the things that helps understand the outside world, but then also what also helps us from the inside world. And to leave off with the energy of the sun, here are some last like keywords that actually may help you kind of understand it a little bit better. We have some keywords of realization that the sun is our life force, it is power, it is influence, it is radiance, it is your heart chakra, it is the stage of presence, and it is also our charisma. Now, moving on to Monday. Monday is Moon Day, and if you follow me from my business account, Subconscious Moon, you can already tell and know that I fuck with her. She's the thing that has helped me understand my own feminine energy, to connect to my spiritual aspect, my own psychic abilities. The moon is my biatch. I love her. She's something that is to be recognized with and to understand her power. She is the ruler of the night. She is a powerful player in the astrology charts here. She's not one to play with. She's how we utilize on our reactions, our emotions. She's the energy of reflection. She shows a lot about us when we like it and we don't like it, but it also, she helps us understand things that we may not understand as like an illusion or what may be what's not in front of our faces, but we can allow ourselves to see those aspects if we allow it to. So if you heard me say earlier, the moon is in representing for Monday, or AKA the moon day. She is a dreamy day for doing a lot of intuition work, beauty, any type of feminine rituals, even things to obtain to your home. This is a great way for you to connect to her. Monday is associated to the element of water, and it is also corresponding to the zodiac sign of Cancer. Cancer also rules the fourth house. So that's your home, that's your structure, that is how things are deep rooted. She is nourishing, she was motherly. This day does represent a lot. And the colors that are associated to her are shiny silvers, pearl, pale rose color, so like a very light pink. We also have the color white. And my personal favorite, lavender. So the crystals that are connected to the moon are moonstone, pearl, crystal quartz, fluorite, and aquamarine. The herbs and incense that are associated to the moon are night blooming, jasmine, We have myrtle, moonwort, vervain, white rose, poppy, and one of my personal favorites, catnip. And no, it is not for your cat. I love catnip. Catnip can be utilized for a lot of things, and also lemon balm too. Those are really great herbs that you can utilize to connect to the moon energy, her inner self, and you can utilize that in all aspects of your rituals or spells or whatever you want to do. Some of the words or rituals that you can actually create off of that is doing more of lunar power. So you just connecting more to the moon, asking her to develop more into your own aspect of your spells and your rituals. You can do a lot of astral work, connecting to her through those type of spells will allow you to amplify your astral work if you want to do that. And astral work meaning like astral traveling, astral connecting to self, your inner self, your higher self, different dimensions, things like that. You can also utilize Monday or the moon's energy to amplify your psychic abilities. Any forms of divination is going to help you. Any forms of spirituality, of connecting to that, is going to help you. Any forms of cleansing. So, say for instance, you want to do like a spiritual cleansing bath, you can utilize the day of Monday to really do that, and using herbs that are associated to the moon or protection or whatever you're going to do for that particular spiritual bath. That is something that you can do. And if you want to know more about cleansing, make sure you check out our previous episode, how we talked about spiritual protection and cleansing, to learn more about that. And you can utilize that aspect of purity as well to associate any type of spells or rituals into this day. So, some more information about the moon is that the moon is associated to the numbers 2 and 7. We also have how the moon has a very big impact on the earth here, and she has a high impact on the tides, the growth of the plants, the cycles of the feminine or the female fertility or anatomy, if you will. The moon also represents change in potential. She also allows us to represent different types of potential of our creativity, our beauty, romance, kindness, shadow side that lurks from within our souls. It also helps us understand a rise of our fears or uncertainties that we may be feeling. This also does include like any types of unkindness, dishonesty. The moon really does help us amplify that, but also understand the different types of aspects of that. She's also connected to profound wisdom or a hidden wisdom that you may not know. The moon can help you understand that. And on top of that, she really does help us reveal our emotional disposition as well as our intuition. She helps us understand how we feel, how we react, how we would like to be treated, how we would in turn like to be treated by other people. She also helps us understand how we can protect ourselves and how we can defend ourselves until we feel safe. Like, she's a motherly, nurturing energy. So when we can understand that, we can understand what kind of energy she does amplify on that aspect, especially if you never felt safe. The moon can help you really do feel safe about self. Now, I'm not going to dive into more about the phases of the moon and all that stuff. If you want to learn more about the moon in itself, you can definitely check out my products from my business, where I have master classes about the moon, where I have my Oracle deck, Intuitive Luna, where we talk about the different phases of the moon and the zodiac signs and how they represent it. So if you want to learn more about that, all that information will be down in the description box for you to take a look at. Now, diving in a little bit more into the moon before we move on to the day of Tuesday, the moon is very receptive. She again governs intuition and self-protection. The soul of the moon, or the moon in itself, is our soul. They are one and the same. They really do help us understand our intuition, our perception, our inner feeling. It is how we are intimate with ourselves, but then also how we can be intimate with other people around us. It also helps us with the security that we feel. It also helps with the type of home that we grew up in. It helps us understand where we need to hide away, how we maybe need to recoup our energies. It helps us understand about self-care and how we need to really put ourselves first a little bit. Again, the moon is very nurturing and motherly aspects. So this also comes into like mother figures or different types of deities where you want to amplify those motherly energies. It really does help us with that energy as well. The moon also shows us how we respond emotionally. Like I said, it helps us make us feel more deeply connected to what represents who we are at its core. It helps us also learn about our memories and the secrets and the things that we form within ourselves right now, as well as our past lives. And so I'm going to leave you with a few last keywords in regards to the moon. She really does help us with our dreams. Our subconscious is the moon. So, really diving into our dream work here, the astral travel as well, our soul, the dark night of the soul, our memories, our past, our wisdom, different types of shelter that we want to cultivate for ourselves, as well as the type of deep love that we require or trying to inquire into our life. Moving on to the day of Tuesday. Tuesday is a day of action, and this is ruled by the mighty planet of Mars. Now, this is how you seek your passion. This is the surge or the drive that you have towards your goals. This is how you find your destiny. This is how you become more strong and more courageous with yourself. This is the energy of like who you are, and you're going with that. It's very high energy with your career, for any type of physical activity, sexual activity, sports, any forms of aggression that you may be having, negotiations towards your own meetings or towards other people. And this is really where both fire and water come to play, because this planet rules both the zodiac signs of Aries and Scorpio. So there really are a driving force between these two zodiac signs. Obviously, the color for Mars is going to be red, and the different types of crystals that are associated to this planet are ruby, garnet, carnelian, bloodstone, and pink tourmaline. I actually find it hard to find pink tourmaline, but at the same time, when you find it, you better buy that tourmaline, because that thing is rare and it is beautiful. And not only is it very much in tune to that sexual energy, that passion and creativity, but it's also in tune to that protection aspect too. So just putting that little hint of gem there, pink tourmaline is the shit, and you should get it if you do see it. Now, the different types of herbs or incense that you can utilize for Mars or for Tuesday are red roses, pine, carnations. Nettle is a very great herb to use. Patchouli is also a fantastic herb. We also have pepper and garlic for all of my kitchen witches, so you can also utilize that on Tuesdays to really amplify your foods, to really amplify that energy of Mars, And so here are some different types of spells or different types of corresponding words that you can utilize for this day. We have physical power. Now, before on Sunday, we have solar power, right? And so for Tuesday, we have physical power, we have passion, different types of achievements, ambition, sexual drive, your masculine power. You could do reversals on hexes this day. And again, the flow of protection is very heavy on this day, or the utilizing the energy of Mars you can use for protection. Now, again, Mars is the energy of force and how we act. It is kind of like the god of war, if you will. It is the energy of how something is moving in our aspect and how we want it to be moved. Mars is also the highest and most effective sense in how we want to style, or even, or even have like brute force. This is Mars at its finest. And Mars works best when we train these energies, when we focus our passion and our aggressive desires. This is how things start to really be amplified through Mars. Mars also has the position in our birth chart to indicate the nature and the strength that we act. So it's also how we address any type of challenges, how we may avoid them as well, how we like to maybe work around them, or how we like to confront these things in our life as well. This is also how we display our courage and confidence. It's how we do any type of disable or any type of responding quickly or slowly with or without considering our options. This is also how we invite certain types of warriors or diplomats or any type of behaviors into our flow. And with Mars being the very fiery red planet that it is, again, this is the initial god of war. Mars is considered the inner planet that allows us to feel more capable or to be seen by the naked eye. Mars makes us kind of shove things very hard in a way that other planets don't, because it's kind of like the bully. It's kind of like the thing that's like, fuck you, I'm getting like, move out of my way. I'm making movements whether you liking or not, and I'm coming in disrupting shit whether you liking or not. It really is kind of like, it is what it is. You're in my way. If you're not helping me, then get the fuck out of the way. Like, that's kind of the energy of Mars. And also because of that energy, it is again a ruler of sexuality and aggression, and this goes back into the energy of Scorpio being more towards that sexual energy, and then aggression being towards that Aries energy. It is a very lustful planet, and it does drive us and allows us to kind of force challenges that we may have or didn't think that we needed to follow through, especially in regards to our passions. If you need to kind of have this drive to finish a project or something, utilize the day of Tuesday and amplify with the Mars energy to help you get to the flow of like, I'm doing this today, I'm having the actions, I'm in the flow, it is what it is, I'm doing it. Now, ironically, it's kind of like if we didn't have this energy of Mars in our or as a planet, we would really know how to fight. We really know how to really be defensive to energies that doesn't align to us at all, or push us in the energy that we want to move towards. So utilizing this energy of Mars is really going to help you kind of amplify that magic within you. And so I'm going to leave you off with a few keywords of Mars, which is battles, adversaries, competition, rushing in, defense, sexuality, passions, as well as sporting events. Now let's move on to the day of Wednesday, or how other people like to call it, Odin's Day. This is the planet of communication. This is the planet of just expressing. And it is a very important one, because without communication, how will we do anything? How will we be able to express what we want to say to certain individuals or to people or whatever that is? Communication is a big thing. So Mercury and Chiron are very much associated to this day together, but initially just Mercury. Chiron is kind of like a orbit or a cluster that astrology or astrologers have just kind of like in a modern astrology have said this is a part of astrology. So I did want to point that out there and say Chiron is too, but mostly it's just Mercury. And so with this, Mercury is in charge of our type of writing, public speaking, intellectual pursuits, our memory, and again, all forms of communication. This is also the day for you to recognize any forms of karmic duties. And this again would be associated to how you want it to be. Karmic meaning like what you need to do, or maybe what you have to set your sights on, or duties that you have to do. It's karmic. So it's also associated to that. So for Mercury being ruled for Wednesday, we also have Mercury ruling over the zodiac signs of Virgo and Gemini. Geminis, oh, I love my Jimmies. And Geminis have a very beautiful connection of having that duality of understanding the light and dark, that flow of communication of speaking what they need to say and saying how they need to say it. And then Virgos, as a Virgo rising, I will absolutely say that having that form of communication to self is very much in tune. And also just the shadow side of both Virgo and Gemini is that negative aspect of talking negative, having things to be perfect, having things to be perfectly aligned, having that articulate or that way of being articulate is very heavy too. So Wednesday is just a very great way for you to amplify those two zodiac signs if you have them in your natal chart, which you do because all of us do. But if it's very prevalent in, the planets for you, especially in Mercury, I would highly recommend that you utilize Wednesday to amplify your spells or any type of rituals. Now, the colors that are associated to this are light blue, gray, green, orange, and yellow. And the crystals that are associated to this is sodalite, moss agate, opal, and adventuring. The herbs and incense that are associated to Wednesday and Mercury are cinnamon, periwinkle, dill, sweet pea, and ferns. Here are some of my favorite corresponding words or different types of spells that you can utilize. And we have knowledge, money, communication, acceptance, change, art, and adaptability. Now, with Mercury, Mercury is such a beautiful planet, like I said, to amplify the energy of intelligence, and it's also how we think. So, this is how we get our brilliant ideas, kind of seeing those aha moments, those downloads, receiving messages, and seeing and also feeling mentally connecting to those amazing connections. Mercury also rules over our material transactions, so it's a duality on that aspects of our material transactions that we do on a day-to-day basis. And getting back to the Egyptian god Thoth, it is also very much heavy that Thoth was the all in all when it came to the wisdom, the eccentric knowledge. He was the scriber of the gods and the recorder of weighing out the soul of the departed. And they did this by, placing a feather against its truth. And if your truth was greater than, your duties here on earth, you were able to ascend. If not, you were able to go to the underworld and you will be transformed into that aspect with Hades. So Thoth is very much in a very highly connected energy and God through Mercury, through the energy of communication, the occult, and just really having that energy of connection. Now, addition to Mercury, Mercury does again rule our communication, our mind, our thoughts, and our words. And in this placement in our birth chart, it does reveal the way that we think, the way that we write, how we speak. In other words, it represents ourselves in the way that allows us to see, how we like to have our writing style, how we like to make contact with people, how we learn, how we like to have our relationship with self and with others, including also computers, if you would think about it. It also places heavy knowledge on publishing, learning, the different types of media that we have, the libraries that we have in our society. And this also includes different types of marketing and how we establish that in this modern world. Mercury is quick-witted, it is an insightful thinker, and it can also sometimes be on that shadow side of a trickster or a deceiver. If you're understanding both sides of the spectrum, though, this can help you really learn more about the wisdom and have you have a better understanding about what is going on in that aspect in itself. And with Mercury being a planet of intelligence, this again takes all forms of communication. So with that, it also comes in with our petitions. So all my witches that are doing those spells and incantations, what you are writing down is heavy on Mercury's energy. How you're writing down your petition, how you are asking the universe, your gods, your deities to bring in certain manifestations or hexes or whatever you're doing. It is really important on what you're putting on that petition because, again, you're utilizing that form of planetary magic of communication, okay? Magic, like I said, is very in tune to Mercury, not only just in petitions, but it's also in time to medicine. It's connected to our eyes, the brain, our nervous system, our fingers, as well as our toes. And it also has a big insight on how we relate to our matters of the heart, on how we want to communicate that. The moon reflects off that emotion, but it's Mercury that helps us actually communicate that to other individuals on how we feel, think, or whatever. And I'm going to leave you guys with some last words of Mercury, which would be speaking, traveling, speed, coordination, any type of adaptability, arguments, as well as technology. Okay, so now let's go ahead and dive into Thursday. Thursday is the day for business. It's the day for politics, legal matters, bargaining, good fortune, material and fiscal wealth. This is the day for money. And Thursday is ruled by the planet of Jupiter. The elements that are really heavy on this planet is water as well as fire, and it rules the two zodiac signs Pisces as well as Sagittarius. The colors that are associated to Thursday are blue, purple, and turquoise. The type of crystals that are associated to Thursday as well as Jupiter are turquoise, sapphire, amethyst, and one of my personal favorites, lapis lazuli or luzi, however you want to pronounce it. And these are also favored by the Egyptians, by the way. Those crystals specifically are favored by the Egyptian culture and the deities and gods. And so the herbs that are associated to Thursday and Jupiter are saffron, cedar, nutmeg, pine, oak, as well as cinnamon. Now, here are some of the corresponding words or the different types of spells that you can indicate for this day. And we have worldly power, growth, long term abundance, prosperity, health, authority, justice, fulfillment, as well as luck. Jupiter is the energy of generosity as well as how we expand. It is considered the king of the gods. It is the largest of the planets, and it is the planet of light, the emperor, the judge, and the teacher. So, just a little fun fact about Jupiter, the geocentric energy of Jupiter brings in opportunity. So, the geocentric path of Jupiter is over 2 cycles or 24 years. So every 5 months, the planet goes into a retrograde aspect to where it goes against the stars. And as we pass through these months each year, it forces natural opportunities to us. Jupiter in our chart offers us an opportunity for us to overcome problems and barriers. These opportunities may come in the form of knowledge, reassurance, a helping hand, or even abundance. Jupiter shows where we can be generous, and it also helps us understand how we advise and support others in liberating different ways. And as I mentioned before, Jupiter is known for its expansion or allowing certain luck, good things coming in the form of prosperity. Luck is on your side when you have Jupiter's knowledge, and there's also this big abundance of just positivity as well as goodwill. Especially if you're going to nurture or try to tend to things to make them grow, this amount of flow that if you utilize in Jupiter to do, it will continuously just continue to grow for you on that aspect. Also, Jupiter is strongly tied to the law and the ideas of fairness, so your opinions as well as conditions may be strong at this time on Thursdays as well. So I'm going to leave you with some lasting keywords for the energy of Thursday, or aka Jupiter. And we have change, luck, ideals, a sense of purpose, the strength to go on, and of course, good luck. Now, moving on to Friday. If you ever heard me talk about Venus Friday, then you kind of already know, but Venus rules Friday. It is the day of self-love, love of self, goddess energy, luxury energy, relaxation energy, feminine power energy. Friday is the day of the week that is ruled by Freya, and it also is the goddess of love. We also have the energy of Friday not only being about love, but also about beauty, sex, fertility, friendships, partnerships, the arts, harmony, music, and bringing new energies into your life. This includes people as well as new projects. Now, the planet of Venus rules 2 different types of zodiac signs, and those 2 zodiac signs that it rules over is Libra as well as Taurus. So you can understand that heavy on the Venus day, the elements that it really does amplify is air as well as earth. The colors that are associated to Venus are pale green, deep green, cayenne blue, pink, violets, as well as a little bit of red, but mostly just pink. The crystals that are associated to Venus are emerald. Again, pink tourmaline is a heavy. Obviously, we have rose quartz. We do also have jade, malachite, and period. These crystals are very great crystals to utilize in your practice for Friday or to amplify the energy of Venus. On top of that, the herbs that are associated for Friday or Venus are apple, lily, birch, ivy, rose, as well as sage. To continue on with different types of spells or correspondence or rituals that you would like to do on Friday, we have fertility, love, money, healing, goddess energy, blocking, glamour magic, self love, self improvement, anything to do with self, love, and of course, feminine power. Now, with Venus, it is not only just the goddess of love, but it's also the energy of pleasure, and it is also how we love. Venus symbolizes all things beautiful, graceful, charming, and tasteful. Okay? It is the energies of feeling the senses of delightful flavors, smells, sights, sound, as well as sensation. On top of that, her creativity is insane. It literally will urge us to create for value, to allow us to accumulate different types of objects, ideas, or experiences into our life. Now, just because this energy of Venus is about love and pleasure on all aspects of our five senses, it also does have a darker side to it. And this side of it would be like entice, seduce, even things that could poison our happiness. So when you're in this energy of Venus or when you're working with it, contentment is very possible that you need to have within your this time frame, being content, having discernment as well, also letting go of certain ideals or having to grasp or having that needy aspect of that. The goddesses that are attuned or attached to Venus is not also just Freya, but we also do have the Egyptian goddesses of Isis, as well as her earth daughter god Geb, and the sky goddess Nut. Um, on top of that, it also is the solar god Horus is also in tune to the energy of Venus, which I think is very interesting as well. Now, some additional characteristics of Venus is that we have, or that can show up in your chart, will allow you to know more about your passions, how intensely you are attracted to experiences, possessions, as well as people. Not to mention how you fall in love. It also governs like the seven ages, which is described in Shakespeare. And this could be in the form of like a youthful lover, a ballad, how you like to have like that mistress kind of esque energy within you. It's very sensual and sexual, okay? And so, on top of that, this planet also has the energy of being a gardener, different types of artistry, really allowing yourself to see how you value certain things, how you like to express your appreciation. Excuse me, my voice. Not only that, but how you love intensely is very like prominent here as well. And that intensively can go into jealousy. It can go into how you heal your broken heart, how you learn to go beyond attachment, accepting any type of loss that you may be experiencing, as well as staying or being in love with yourself or with others. Venus is the morning star and the brightest of the planet. It is the planet again about beauty, balance, love, and romance. Venus rules what we want in a good life, where we or want to desire, the ease of that, the comfort of that, the sweetness, the kisses. It is the feeling, the wanting of being beautiful, of sensing that you're beautiful, of just an inner knowing that you're beautiful. Again, because it does rule both Libra and Taurus, the energies that they work best in these fields are beauty, social balance, romantic life, having that dance of artistry, comfort, accumulating to different types of abundance. So having that different streams of income is very prevalent here on the Venus energy. The shadow side again of Venus is that you don't want to get lost in that type of environment or that lust or the things that you're trying to cultivate, it's really important for you to understand that it's an internal feeling that replicates or amplifies your exterior reality. So the more you are intuitively feeling this, the more your exterior energy or your reality is going to be very replicated in that as well. Since Venus does rule Taurus, and Taurus rules the second house, be very careful about not wasting your funds or wasting your attention to other things that don't matter to the heart. If you do, you are going to subject yourself to a lot of pain, a lot of emotional or physical aspects of your abundance may really be in turmoil. So just pay attention to that. And so to end off with Friday on a few keywords for Venus, we have comfort, love, beauty, eating, sensing, relating, expensive tastes, expensive purchases, as well as self-love. Now, finally, we are getting to the last day of the week, and that is Saturday. Saturday is ruled by Saturn, and it connects the element of air, fire, water, and earth. This will be the time where you will start to develop more protection, more discipline, amplifying the energy of duty, binding, family, maybe some more manifestations, or maybe just completing some things out since we are at the end of the week. The zodiac signs that this planet rules over is Capricorn as well as Aquarius. And the colors that it's associated to are black, brown, deepest blue, and the crystals that it's associated to is smoky quartz, jet, black onyx, obsidian, and the darkest garnet. The herbs and incense that it's associated to is ivy, oak, myrrh, deadly nightshade, mandrake, hemlock, and wolfsbane. And I just want to point out that most of the herbs that are associated to Saturn are a little bit of poisonous. So just be cautious when you are utilizing these herbs. Now, some associations, correspondence, rituals, or spells you can utilize are binding, stopping, ending, loss, renewal, transform, protection. Saturn is considered the god of the world and time. It is the energy of structure and how we like to control things. Because it is furthest from the sun, Saturn has the longest cycle of all of the planets in our solar system. And I think that's very funny. It also can be represented as Father Time, quote unquote, as an aged man who has marked on different type of natural seasons in its life. And because of that, it has a big energy be about harvesting and death, kind of rating out the heavens and seeing what things are working and what things aren't working. And it allows us to have certain structures in our life, especially since I like to consider Saturn as the strong or intense teacher. Saturn has a tendency to be like, did you learn that lesson? Do you understand why you had to go through this topic again? Do you understand why this person came back into your life or the energy of this same person has entered in? It is time for you to kind of see these lessons and learn from them and not continue on these negative attributes that may be recycling within your own reality. Because of this, Saturn does have a premises over your career and the longevity of it. It can also bring forth bad luck and hardship into your life, but again, it's how you are perceiving it, it's your perception about it. Saturn can indicate, though, a lot of problems, restrictions, and barriers that are within your life, and that can also reflect in your natal chart when you're looking at Saturn. Saturn, when you think about it, can be the friend that will help you will help you understand not to have like false hope about stuff, but will also support you in any way that you need it to. It will also give you any type of framework for you that will help you understand life and how you can progress against that or with it. And with Saturn as your guide, you can become more powerful by working with and mastering your problems. Like I said, Saturn is kind of like that strong teacher where If you're seeing what it's trying to help you understand as far as a lesson, you can literally learn a lot of lessons about your reality, what you need to let go, and what you need to bring forth as far as different changes in your life. Now, I personally love the energy of Saturn just because, as a Scorpio, it kind of helps me solidate or facilitate. Ooh, I'm not even kidding you. My left ear just got a high pitched ring. So, this is for somebody. Saturn literally helps me understand not only the emotional aspects of certain things that I need to let go of, but also, again, that hard lesson that I may not want to recognize really easily. And especially right now, since Saturn is in retrograde, a lot of you guys, including myself, are probably going through a lot of different, and difficult changes in our life. But it is, again, how are you viewing that said change, that problem that is going to how like allow you to move forward in your next stages in your life. This planet does not show any mercy, and you are going to be challenged when you are utilizing this energy of Saturn. You are either going to make it or you break it. You're either going to go through it or you're going to continue on repeating the same toxic cycle. Regardless, Saturn is going to push you to understand these lessons, whether you're ready or not. Especially if you're in this woe is me energy, like it's not going to help you at all. Saturn's really just going to continue to fuck with you until you really realize like it's time for you to stand up on your own and release these things and be able to move forward. Saturn also is heavy on the deals of power, control, law enforcement, military, distraction, things with structure. Saturn loves to be in. And so, to leave you with some last words or keywords for Saturn for Saturday, I have restriction, penalties, shattering experiences, disappointment, as well as growth. So now we're at the end of this episode where we've dived into the planets, planetary magic, the associations, correspondence, different types of rituals, how you can really tap into each day of the week for each planet. And again, if you want to know the specific times of the days for these planets, just go ahead and Google it. Get a sense of where you are at for your time zone so you're understanding what time is actually going to be reflecting off of those particular planets. But I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode and that you learned a lot about planetary magic and how you can utilize it for your day-to-day structure. Now, there's so many things that can go into this because honestly, what I would really love to do, which I'm kind of thinking about what I will do, is that probably on the YouTube channel is that I'll probably do a day spell for each, just so that you can see how you can utilize all correspondence for that. But I'll probably be later down along the lines of it. So I just want to sit there and say thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Look out for a second episode that I'll be dropping this week. This episode is going to be super quick, super easy. I really wanted to make something where you guys can understand that meditation is something that you can do on a day-to-day basis. And this episode is really going to be for people who say to me, Candace, I don't know, I don't like to, I have a hard time meditating. What are some other options that I can do that can reflect off of meditation? And so that's going to be the next episode that I'm going to drop this week. And I'm dropping 2 episodes this week just because I, for my own purposes, forgot to drop an episode last week. So I'm just catching up with the routine here. So look out for that episode after this one. It's going to be up pretty shortly after it because it's going to be a very quick one. So again, make sure you guys are following me on all social media platforms. I really appreciate you guys so much. I love you guys' energy. It's amazing. You guys are awesome sauce. And I will catch you guys at our next episode. Have a great day. And I love you guys. Mwah. Bye. Planetary Magic.